Good evening. Welcome to Star Talk. I'm Ken Eccles, and we're happy to have you with us on the program tonight. Don't mind me. I'm just putting some things down and picking some other things up, which is what I have to do at 7 o'clock. And I'm putting my earbud back in because it just fell out, as is so often the case. Somebody told me that I need to wear a headband on the air, a headband around here to stop the earbud from falling out. I'm probably not going to do that, at least not in the summer. Maybe when cold weather comes, I'll consider the headband. Um, but it's too hot now. I got to get away from that, hitting that thing behind me. All right, the phone line is open. There is the number up there on the screen, and here's actually a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, good evening, Mr. Ken.
Good evening.
Well, I'm off tomorrow again. I'm gonna sit back, relax, and probably get some sun.
You're off again tomorrow. When do you actually work?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Well, tomorrow is Thursday, so I guess you would be off tomorrow then. Good for you.
Yeah.
So you
Uh,
get you get
well, I'm off on Tuesdays and Thursdays,
you
but
get
August will
Tuesday and
be here
Thursday.
before you know it, and I'll be on a 2 week vacation.
2 week vacation. Where are you going? I think you went to Montego Bay last year, didn't you? Or was that a secret?
Uh, I went to the Philippines.
I'm sorry, the Philippines. I always get the Philippines and Montego Bay mixed up because they're both in an ocean. I forgot you went to the Philippines. I believe you got married in the Philippines, didn't you?
No, but I do got a lover down there.
Well, I know. That's why I was thinking you may have gotten married in the Philippines. Um, so haven't taken that step yet.
Nope, it wasn't. We're not at that stage. We're just at the flirt. We're spending a lot of time together, having fun, sleeping together.
All right. So do you fly to the Philippines or do you take your catamaran? How do you get there?
We meet halfway,
Meet halfway. That would be what, Guam?
something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy that's working out for you.
Well, it beats having a wife and children.
Well, I guess that's a matter of course that's a matter of personal preference. There are people who like having a wife and children, but not everybody's the same.
Well, I'm a single guy. She's a single woman, so we're just gonna have a good time and not think of stuff like that.
All right. Well, everybody should have a good time. I'm all for people having a good time, of course, within reason and within certain limits.
Believe me, if we get serious, I might not come back. I maybe retire early.
From retire from Bojangles early, that would put them in a bind, wouldn't it?
Oh no. Well, I am planning to retire in December 31st at 2026. December 31st.
Oh well, you're getting short then.
Well, I'll go back and get a part-time job somewhere, and you'll get money coming in.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. Your impending retirement.
Well, thank you, sir, and I hope all the retirees out there are having fun. Excuse
Well,
me. And remember, folks, Sunday, Talladega. Your guys are going to lose, and my 22 is going to leave you eating rubber and dust.
okay. Well, you've mentioned
Everybody
that.
have a good day.
You've mentioned that
Uh,
before, so it doesn't hurt to remind people of what's coming.
oh no, I just want to send a little hurt out. But tell Mark Mayadan tonight, 8 o'clock on your local Fox station.
I will.
Mass Singer.
I will tell him, and thank you for the reminder.
Bye, sir.
Good night. And phone line is open now. If you'd like to give us a call, somebody was trying to get through there, and now they did get through. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Ken, this is Jerry. I'd just like to say I get two checks every month, and one check, well, it's split in threes, like 350, 318, 319, and I'm hoping tariffs will go up on prices in the grocery store so I can get that extra $50 raise in January. And thanks for taking my call, sir.
Well, thank you, Jerry. You don't often hear from people hoping that prices will go up. You do occasionally hear that, but it's not an everyday thing. It is true. If prices go up, your cost of living adjustment, if you get one, goes up. So there's that. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please. Hello. Hello. Okay, caller's not there. So let's just wipe that one out and say again. The phone line is open at that number. You can give us a call or you can email us. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Ken. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm just fine, Ken. I got something I want to see if you can help me with here.
All right.
So I was listening to the news today, and I was listening to J.D. Vance saying that if Ukraine doesn't go ahead on and just do what the United States want to do, just give up whatever they want to give up, and just let Putin have what he's got already. Okay. So at the end of the day here, Ken, look, the way I understand is we told Ukraine that the United States told Ukraine that, okay, give up your weapons and we'll have your back, So this is what Ukraine does. Now here we are to recreate on what we said. This doesn't seem right. I mean, okay, so if Ukraine does give up, go ahead and let Putin have what he wants. Now he's not going to stop at that. He's not going to stop. Once you give Putin a mile, he's going to take. He'll take the whole country. That's what's going to happen. Now, I'm having a problem with that because the fact is we're supposed to help Ukraine out. Now here is Trump saying, "Okay, you ain't got no cards to play with." We're supposed to have their back. We told them to give up their weapons in order, so then we would help them. But we're not helping them. I mean, when Biden was in there, we was. I mean, we were standing up to what we said we was going to do. Now, it's Trump saying, no, we're going to let you go on about your business. I'll let them go ahead and keep what they got. And then, just like I know, that Putin is not going to do this. Yeah.
Well, we have, we thought we had an agreement a couple of months ago, and Ukraine actually the agreement. But the Russians rejected it. So that agreement went out the window. And the agreement now, as best I understand it, and I'm sure there are things that I don't know about. I don't know everything. There certainly must be things that I don't know about. But based on what is published now, the agreement is pretty much let we will recognize that the territories that Russia has conquered in the invasion, we will recognize those as Russian territories, with two exceptions. There are two small territories that we want the Russians to give back. They have not yet said whether they're willing to give those back, but for the most part, we let the Russians have what they've taken. And as far as Ukraine goes, we are not offering Ukraine any security guarantees. President Trump has said, as I'm sure you know, we cannot be the power that guarantees Ukraine's sovereignty. That will be up to the European Union to do that. And then Putin said that he would not agree to have European Union troops in Ukraine or any foreign troops at all in Ukraine. And so that being the case, I guess the best way we can judge Putin is by what he's done all his life. And that being the case, yeah, Putin will at some point go ahead and try to take the rest of the Ukraine. I mean, I don't see anything that would stop that.
Exactly, Ken. See, that's what I'm saying. See, that's what we know. We know this right here. Trump knows this right here. President Trump, he knows this right here. He knows that Putin is not going to stop. So at the end of the day, we should stand by Ukraine and do like we said we were going to do. We told them to give up their weapons. They did this. We're supposed to have their back. We don't have their back. Trump just throw them up under the bus, let them go. You know, this is not right. That's not right. I don't care how anybody call in and say it's right. It's not going to be right in my book. So, but anyway, so we know that Putin is not going to stop. And just like you said, if he take over Ukraine, he's going to go to and take over another country and on and on and on. That's what's going to happen. So, anyway, Ken, I appreciate it. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. And that's I had to get that off my mind right there.
Well, thank you for calling.
Okay, Ken. Thank you for taking my call, and you have a blessed weekend.
You too. Of course, the underlying question there, and I don't exactly know the answer to it, is how much, and how far, and how long can we afford to go in that war? And that's a complicated question. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Ken. How you doing?
Fine. How are you?
All right. Well, everything that was done for Ukraine, except Trump telling him he don't have any cards to play right now. He don't have a leg to stand on without the United States. And right now, Zelensky from Ukraine cannot account for half of the billions of dollars that we sent. Over 50 billion he can't account for where it's at. Don't know where it is, where it went. So, you know, if Ukraine was the most corrupt country in the whole world when this war started, they laundered money, they did everything corrupt and wrong, and sure, that was before Zelensky, but everybody that was doing the corruptness is still there. And so, you know, Ukraine's got nothing to offer anybody except their land. And Trump is there. He's tired of it. Somebody's got to make a move to stop this. And if it takes giving up land that Russia's already taken, so be it. I mean, what can we say about that? We don't have to live there. That's their problem. All we want to do is stop this war. And, you know.
What do you think? Let me ask you a question. I mean, this complicated situation, it's complicated in a whole lot of different ways. What do you think happens if Russia essentially ends up with what would amount to a victory in the Ukraine war? They get the land. There are no security guarantees for Ukraine, and everybody agrees that there won't be any foreign troops in Ukraine. What do you think Russia will eventually do?
Well, that's pretty much anybody's guess, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it did. Well, that's all we can do is guess at it.
I can't speculate on what a Russian mind might think, you know, but it's...
Well, we do know what Putin has said in the past. He has said he wants to reestablish Russia as a superpower. And he has certainly indicated that that means having Russia reestablish control over a whole lot of Eastern Europe. Do you think he was serious? I mean, do you think that's what he would do?
Well, he would like to do that. Yes, he would. But he spread himself mighty thin now. He's having to get men to fight from Afghanistan and places like that.
That's true.
To bring in. Huh?
Yeah, very thin.
Yeah. So, you know, he's probably not crazy about this war continuing on either. because he's spending all his resources, using up all his resources, and spending all his money on something that's not going to get him anything other than this little piece of land he's taken. And all Ukraine's going to lose is that little piece of land that Putin's taken so far.
Well,
if he
it's
goes
about
with the
20.
agreement.
It's about
If he goes with the
20%.
agreement.
It's 20% of Ukraine, so it's a pretty big piece of land.
Yeah, it is. But what can we say? You know, it needs to stop. Somebody's got to give something for it to stop. Evidently, it looks like so. It ain't our land. It ain't our country. We're just trying to negotiate it. Biden's the one that did all that stuff. Biden's the one that gave him all the money. Trump shut him off. Trump shut off his credit card, just like he did to all the Democrats, all the deep state. Trump shut their credit cards off. Elon Musk did too. That's why they're all freaking out and flipping out. They ain't got no money to spend no more, to give to this grant, to give to that grant that would be was malarkey. Anyway,
And we heard today, I don't know if you heard this or not, I heard today that, you hear everything, heard today that Elon Musk is on his way out of the Trump administration. Have you heard that?
No, he just said he's going to be less involved. He's going to be more involved with his Tesla company, and that he's in May it is, that he's going to be less involved in what he's doing now, but he's going to continue with what he's doing now, but just more onto his Tesla company than Doge.
Right.
There'll still be things taking place with Doge. It just won't be Elon Musk involved as much, but he will still be involved with it. And I'd like to mention one other thing. You know, poor Jerry Aaron Danville, bless his heart, he talks about his money all the time. He got that $68,750 inheritance, and he thanked God so much for it, which I do too. You know, I don't blame him. I would too. But I wonder if he thanked God enough to give God his 10% tithes, because God blessed him on that money, and he should give God that $6,750 in tithes so that he's good with God on getting that money.
Well,
And Jerry hates Republicans. You know, God says you hate. God says you hate. I won't. You hate. I won't forgive you in heaven. You forgive, or I won't forgive you in heaven.
Well, I of course don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer to that question, so I won't even guess at
Well,
that.
I'll just state that so Jerry can think about that a little bit. I just hope he, does his right thing with the Lord, because he believes in the Lord so much. I just hope he knows that he should give him that 10% tithes. And best news I've ever gotten in 22 years is that this new pacemaker I got, I can have an MRI with it, and I don't have to go through the spinal taps with the contrast dye anymore.
I didn't know they could do that.
Well, I didn't either. This is new technology. You know, it works off Bluetooth from my phone, and it sends a signal to Medtronics through my phone through Bluetooth. I don't ever know when it does it. And I called them, talked to them, and they said, yeah, you're 100% clear to have an MRI. And I've had like 8 or 10 of the spinal taps, and they put the dye in me when they turn the table up, so it runs into my neck. It shuts my brain off because my neck's so closed. It's like turn up a Coca-Cola bottle and it goes glug, 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 glug. That's what it does in my neck. And it's like a flight or fight mode, and I don't realize what I'm doing, but I come up off that table, knocking the x-ray machines out everywhere and pulling needles out of my arms. And I did that twice because they shut my brain down with that dye. And I can't help what I did. I was all I knew is I had to go. I had to get out of there.
So
Didn't know where I was at.
They won't have to do that again then.
No, I won't have to go through that again. I couldn't, yeah. I was supposed to have something done 5 years ago.
That is good news.
No, I'm telling you, best news I've had. I just jumped like a bull, Chris. Anyway, I talked too long. Thank you, Ken. Have a good, blessed night, buddy.
Thanks for calling. Phone line is open. There is the phone number on your screen. You can also email us at keneccleslive.com. No, that's not right. keneccleslive@gmail.com. I was reading in The Advisor some interesting stories in The Advisor. It's kind of like a trip to the past. This is from October of 1961. And there's a story in here about the Highway 29 And when Rockingham County was trying to get Highway 29 4-laned through the county. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing tonight, Ken?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Your last caller, I'm thankful that he got the technology that he's got. But truth of the matter is, Trump and his Doge crowd up there, they're trying to cut off research for medical situations like this.
Well,
Now,
they have shut down quite a bit of research.
Yeah, they have, like cancer research, Alzheimer's research, all kind of stuff, man. So, Trump and his boys wants to do away with that kind of stuff, and it helps people in the long run. I don't know why in the world people cannot see that kind of stuff.
Well, it's a fiscal question. Obviously, the whole thing is a fiscal question. We're $31 trillion in debt, and I'm just stating fact. This is not a political opinion. These are just facts. We're more than $31 trillion in debt now, and the projection is in 4 years from now we'll be about 37 or 38 trillion in debt. We cannot, within reason, keep funding everything that we've been funding. Of course, the question is, what do we continue to fund and what we do to decide not to fund? That's the hard part. But it is true that we've got to cut back something somewhere.
I agree with that, Ken. But if they would quit giving the tax breaks to the filthy rich that don't need them to start with, I mean, this new budget they want to come up with, the new tax breaks, how much is that going to add to the budget?
The Congressional Budget Office, I think, said about 6 to 10 trillion over the next 10 years.
Exactly. And the last tax cut that they did, what was it, 2017 for the filthy rich? How much did that add to?
It was a few trillion.
Yeah, well, a few trillion here and 6 or 8 trillion there. That's a lot of money.
Here's the thing. If you cut taxes, now of course we always get the same story. Whenever there's a tax cut, they always say, "Don't worry about adding to the deficit because the economic activity that will result from this tax cut will create all this new tax revenue, so we won't be losing any money." I mean, that's the standard story, and that has never happened. We've heard that all the way back to the Reagan administration in 1980. Tax cuts pay for themselves. Well, they don't. They never have, and they never will. What you have to do, I mean, this very simple. What you have to do when you cut taxes, you've got to cut spending somewhere as well. And we've been really good at cutting taxes, but we've never been very good at cutting spending. And that's, I guess, what we're trying to figure out now. But so far, we haven't cut nearly as much spending as the revenue we would lose to the tax cut.
You're exactly right, Ken. I mean, it's not going to work the way they're continuing to do it. I mean, you cut programs. I mean, the CIA, the FBI, CDC. I heard last night on the news, Ken, where they're going to quit the FDA and Food and Drug Administration stuff. They're going to cut. They're already cutting funding to like check milk and
yeah. They won't be inspecting milk anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you come up with these food diseases that's making everybody sick and killing them off eventually, how's that helping anybody? How's that helping the public as a whole? I don't understand that.
Well, again, I'm not smart enough to know the answers, but we have to stop spending. We have to reduce spending. We have to. And I guess maybe the whole Ukraine situation ties into that, probably in a very significant way. Our national debt now is 123% of GDP. That means our debt is 23% more than the entire economic output of our whole economy in a year. All of it. if we were to go a year and pay every cent on the national debt, we'd still only pay off about about 80% of it. And that's where we are, and it's getting worse.
Oh, I know. I mean, there's got to be cuts, but you just can't come out there with a chainsaw and cut. Just totally destroy some of the programs that people rely on and need and actually paid into and stuff. That's what scares me, Ken. And as far as the man talking about, well, he don't care what happens to Ukraine. Well, what if his neighbor was to come to his piece of land and say, okay, I'm taking 20% of your land? How would you feel about that? I don't think he'd appreciate that very much, and I don't think he'd just walk away from it.
Well, nobody would appreciate that. But again, there's this question, though, that won't go away. It will not go away. And it is, how much money do we have to spend, and where can we afford to spend it? And I mean, it's a legitimate question.
Well, it is. I mean, we look at the money we wasted in Afghanistan and Iraq. What did we solve there? I mean, we haven't won a war since World War II, but that don't stop us from spending money on it,
Well, nothing stops us from spending money, it appears.
Yep. I heard that Pete Higgs says he's not going to be able to use that Signal app anymore.
Well, I hope not.
I heard he was going to start putting his war plans on Facebook just to get it all over with right quick instead of just all these investigations and everything. So.
All right. Well, it wouldn't be that much different. It wouldn't be that much different from Signal, really.
No, I'm if it keeps going like it now, we'll be reading it and the whistle stop. If you catch my drift on that.
Well, let's hope that somebody will change their minds about Signal.
Yep. All right, Ken. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your show.
Thanks for calling. There's a phone number up there. The email address is keneckleslive@gmail.com. Anyhow, thanks to Nice Guy for bringing me some advisors. That story I was reading about Highway 29 from 1961, Rockingham County apparently had just been promised. Somebody in Raleigh, who was in Raleigh in Terry Sanford, I guess. Somebody had just promised us that we would get a 4-lane Highway 29 through Rockingham County. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Ken. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
All right. Look, since we're on the Bible tonight, doesn't the Bible say love thy neighbor as thyself?
Yes, it does.
Is Mexico our neighbor?
Well, yes, they are.
Okay, then. All right, then. And you can't be hating immigrants in Mexico and all like that, and then preach to somebody else on the Bible. And the Bible said also, can you say you love me when you hate your neighbor? Is that a scripture?
Yes, I believe it is.
All right, then. So I'm not going to get to the part where it says before you can get a scratch out of your neighbor's eye, you can't take a stick out of your neighbor's eye when you got a whole log in yours.
All right.
I paraphrase that, but you get my drift, don't you?
Well, I do get your drift, and I don't know.
Okay.
You know, I don't know necessarily that it's a case of somebody hating Mexico as much as it is as wanting folks to obey the law. You know, those are kind of two different things, aren't they?
Well, and what does the Bible say about hypocrites? If you want somebody to obey the law, how can you support a president that's trying to break more laws than any president we ever had?
Okay, well, there's another question too. Again, I don't have the answers to every question.
So, you can't preach and be a hypocrite now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And this thing on the deficit, Ken. All right. Do you know that this man we talking about we got to cut. And those medical research centers and all saving a lot of people's lives. There were a time when we didn't have pacemakers. We didn't have the technology we got now. That was a time back there then, and had it not been for research, a lot of people wouldn't be here today. So, if you want to start cutting, do you realize that this president has spent $30 million so far on golf expenses?
I knew it was in the millions. I had not heard 30, but I know it's a fair amount of money.
Right. And so those are some things. There's ways to cut and all, but this president ran up the house. He contributed more to the debt than the last 3 or 4 presidents we had. Am I correct or not?
I don't think you have that quite right. He did.
Who contributed the most?
Well, I would say he did contribute more to the debt. We say he, but I'll say what I always say: the president doesn't. Only Congress can spend money. The president can't do it. But that having been said, during the 4 years of the first Trump administration, there was
Correct.
more. There was more added to the debt in that 4-year period than in any other 4-year period. However, under President Obama, in 8 years, the deficit grew by 10 million, and then under
but that was 8 years.
Under President Trump, in 4 years, it grew by about 8 trillion. So that goes to that point.
You comparing 4 years and 8 years.
That is true.
So,
yes.
You know, but anyway, right quickly there, CEOs, Target, Walmart, and Home Depot met with the president, gave the president a warning that his tax policies could leave shelves empty and increase prices. Later, the waffle man changed his tune, saying, quote, "We are going to be very nice to China." He then flopped again and said, "I didn't intend on firing the Fed chair." Mm-hmm. Now, they act like we don't hear what we hear, we don't see what we see. But lastly, I say this: instead, now he should change the White House to the Waffle House. And thank you for your time, Ken.
Well, thanks for calling. We appreciate it. I had some good pancakes at the Waffle House not too long ago. Not too long ago. Let's see. I think we have some emails over here to read. We also have the phone line open right now, as you can see, and the email address is keneccleslive@gmail.com. And let's get this open. Oh, that's the wrong one. Here's the right one. Hello, Eccles. Well, we know who this is from. This one can wait. Nobody's eager to hear this, so let's answer the phone. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Ken, it's Mark from Marion.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
That's good. Yeah, I want to thank Charles McDaniel for reminding me about the Masked Singer tonight. Good. And if he had time, I was going to tell him to call back in if he knows if Nessie is going to get revealed tonight.
Okay. Well, if he knows, he probably wouldn't tell us.
Yeah, sometimes he has inside sources or whatever. I don't know if he knew or not.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about his inside sources. I don't know who they are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got the number 5 for this Sunday, right?
I think so. Hang on. Check to make sure. Yep, you got the 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and my mom, she's at work tonight. She was off when they called her in.
Oh, really? They must be busy, or maybe somebody didn't show up.
Yeah, so she's at Checkers tonight
All
up
right.
there at Madison.
Okay. Well, I hope she'll have a good night at work.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Well, thanks, Mark. Good to hear from you. Um, let's read an email if we can. Well, no, first let me finish. When I was reading about the story in the Advisor, the Rockham County was guaranteed in 1961 that Highway 29 would be four-laned all the way through the county, and it was. About 10 years later, they kept that promise. But in 61, I noticed that they had it running along Freeway Drive. They were going to keep 29 where Freeway Drive is and four-lane it around there. At some point along the way, 29 moved from Freeway Drive all the way over to the eastern side of Reidsville, which actually geographically makes more sense. But in 61, in the Advisor story, they were still expecting it to follow Freeway Drive. So we got what we were promised, and we didn't. That's kind of how life works. You get it, and you don't. Emailer says a couple of things. Gas today in High Point area ranged from $2.96 to $3.15, but the furniture market coming this weekend, and they always raise up the price about 20 cents for a few days. Thanks to your response, and it's very sad that Democrats and Republicans pay. I was talking about the emailer was talking about are there people who get paid to protest last night? And there are on both sides. So he was saying, thanks to your response, it's a shame that Democrats and Republicans pay people to protest and rally and march. They all need to get a real job or enjoy their time not working, doing something productive, because they really aren't going to change anyone's mind. I guess that's why I am unaffiliated. We need a candidate like you, me, Mr. Eccles, and not one from a crooked political party. Just look at the game they're playing with Ukraine and Russia. Biden should have ended it and not let Russia take what they did. Obama should have never let Russia take Crimea in 2014. Now Trump is playing games, all a political game by the crooked parties, while innocent people die. But the Democrats let Putin start this mess in 2014, and the caller is correct. Putin will keep on taking land, just like he's done since Obama let him take Crimea. And I agree with the gentleman from Danville that the 22 is going to win this week. All righty. Well, the gentleman from Danville is very, 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 very certain about that. What you'd almost think he knows something the rest of us don't know. Wouldn't you? ChatGPT has been heard from. ChatGPT, our artificial intelligence buddy, who is taking part in our NASCAR contests, takes the 12. Ryan Blaney. So let me get the great book in front of me here. ChatGPT has the 12 for Talladega. I guess I'm going to have to read Pretty Man's email. Something else? Is there something else we can do? Well, I commit to read these things, so I'm going to have to read Pretty Man's email, whether I like it or not. Pretty Man says, hello, Eccles, he says. It is time for the moment that everyone has been waiting for. It is time for the pretty man, the prettiest man of all. Time for the prettiest man of all to make his selection of the winner for the Talladega racing event. You know, you could just say race. You don't have to say racing event. But that's what he said. The Talladega racing event. And the winner of the Talladega racing event, well, this is coincidental, will be the number 12, Ryan Blaney. It seems that Pretty Man and ChatGPT are of one mind on this one. The number 12, Ryan Blaney. I heard last night that somebody said, I don't know if it was you or one of the callers, because you all just sort of sound alike to me. Somebody said that they did not want to be like Pretty Man because Pretty Man sometimes tries to cheat on his race pick. That's what somebody said. Well, I just may have to consult my attorney about that. Well, that should be easy. You have your attorney's phone number on your t-shirt. Just have somebody read that number for you, since you probably can't read it in the mirror. And then you call your attorney. I believe it is important for me to consult my attorney. Oh, it's important for you to consult your attorney on a lot of things, but not on this one. There are laws in this nation against that sort of highness, Higness, that sort of highness comment about another person. I don't think that's the word you were looking for, Pretty Man. And you may rest insured. You may rest insured that Pretty Man and his legal team have their ears pricked up and are listening at all times. And that's not all. Well, yeah, that is all. I'm not reading. I'm not reading the rest of it. Maybe you didn't think that was all, but it was all, because that's enough. So Pretty Man has the 12. So we've heard from everybody except Tar Heel in Mayodan. Here are the picks. I know some of you like to keep up with who's picked whom. Here are the picks. Captain Midnight, the 20. Nice Guy, the 11. Mr. NASCAR, the 23. Mr. Leaksville, the 9. Mr. Draper, the 24. Jack, the 12. Mark, the 5. Mr. Pelham, the 23. Charles has the 22. Pretty Man has the 12. Early Bird, the 11. Chat GPT, the 12. Leon, the 8. Citizen D, the 22. Liberal has the 5. And the Lady in Black has the 5. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing there, Ken?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well for a young man.
Good.
I'm not one of your regular customers on the race deal, but you know I will never see the man bust a watermelon this weekend.
Chastain, I would love to see a watermelon go down this weekend. I'll agree with that.
I will love to see him. Have a good night.
Well, thanks for calling. And why don't you join up? The man pointed out regular in the contest, but why don't you become one? We will have this segment of the contest runs through the Sonoma race at California, and then we'll start all over again at 0 after that. So you can join up at that point if you would like to do so, and we'd be happy to have you. Saved me the trouble of looking up the latest AAA information, excuse me, on gas prices. And I had that right over. Actually, I had it ready to read, and then I lost it. But now I found it. Average price of a gallon of regular unleaded. This is from AAA. Average price as of April 17th was $3.17. Actually, $3.16 and 7/10 a gallon. Well, why don't we just call it $3.17? Because that's easier to say. $3.17 a gallon. That's the national average. And I know that you've seen it for less than that. Actually, in this part of the world, we are below the national average. We're averaging under $3 a gallon here. Of course, that's as it always is, counterbalanced by other states where it's quite a bit more than that. But $3.17 is the national average. That has come down a touch in the last week or so. It was up to 322. So it's down a little bit in the last week. It is up in the past month, though. A month ago, it was 308. So right now, it's 9 cents higher than it was a month ago, but it's 5 cents lower than it was a week ago. So, we take the good where we can find it. AAA says there's been less demand. AAA says the price drop of the past week or so is a result of lowered demand. And so that's what happens when demand goes down, prices go down. I don't know why demand would be lower than it was. Well, wait, maybe I do know why demand might be lower than it was a week ago, because a week ago, a lot of schools and governments and some businesses were having spring break. So I guess people were driving more a week ago. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
How you doing, Ken?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I just got through eating me a bowl of oyster stew.
How was it?
It was delicious. It come from that Fishman's Galley.
Oh, man, they got some good stuff over there.
Yeah, they do. They got some good stuff.
How about those brownies? Did those brownies get made yet?
You better believe they got made.
Sounds like you liked them.
I did, but I believe I'd rather have them without the black walnuts.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I'd rather have them without the nuts.
Oh, really? You think?
Yeah, the nuts good. Don't get me wrong, they're good, but I don't know. I just like them better without them. But
well,
they're
brownies,
good. The nuts are good with them. But.
Yeah, brownies are good pretty much any way you make them.
Yeah, there's the milk chocolate brownies by Betty Crocker.
Oh, yeah. You're going to make me hungry now.
Mr. Draper will try to call me, and I was going to let him know that I was asleep. I was asleep when he called me.
Oh, okay.
I tried to call him back, but he didn't answer his phone.
Well, if he's listening, he'll know, and he'll call you back.
Yeah, he'll call on TV and talk to you one. I don't guess he's called in yet.
Well, yeah, he called in earlier.
I just now got all about it being after 7 o'clock, and I said, well, darn, I got to call see if Star News is on.
Yeah, sometimes I forget it's 7 o'clock too. They have to call and remind me.
Yeah, I almost forgot it. Well, I'll let you go. Somebody call in, Ken.
Well, thanks. Thanks for calling.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Oyster stew. He had some good oyster stew. I wonder if I forgot to ask him. Forgot to ask him if he had oyster crackers with that oyster stew. I kind of expect that he did have oyster crackers, because most people don't forget the oyster crackers. And I'm glad he enjoyed those brownies, too. This emailer here says, Ken, I believe I know who Pretty Man is. Many people have tried. I believe I know who Pretty Man is, and I have included a name at the bottom of this email. You can look at that name, and then without saying anything you're not supposed to say, tell me, is this Pretty Man? Okay, I have looked at that name, emailer, and that is not Pretty Man.
Ken, you hit it right. I did have oyster crackers.
Okay, good. I figured you probably did.
I did. I'll see you. Bye.
All right, thanks for calling. So there we have confirmation on the oyster crackers. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Ken, Briscoe from Huntsville.
Hey, Briscoe.
I want to speak about briefly about the Greensboro News and Record.
Okay.
I went out to get my News and Record out of the mailbox today because the Postal Service is delivering it. Brought it back in, gonna look through it, and it was the Winston-Salem Journal.
Oh, really?
It was. And I looked through it. It was identical to what the News and Record is, except the letters to the editor are all from everybody from around Winston-Salem, not from Guilford County or Rockingham County.
Right.
And back in the classifieds were all the court news and, well, not court news, but
Right, we understand the classifieds.
the legal things about everything and so forth. Everything was out of Forsyth County. I don't know what I'm going to get tomorrow, but it's getting pretty doggone sorry.
Well, you know, newspapers, and I'm sure you understand this, newspapers have had to cut back spending a whole lot because it's a tough time to be running a newspaper. And so they do have, especially papers that are owned by the same companies, as far as world and national news, you're going to find a whole lot of them running the same thing.
Yes, I could understand that, but it's sort of aggravating that you get identical newspaper except certain portions.
Yeah, I understand. But it's a lot. The newspaper game obviously is a whole lot different than it was 20 or 30 years ago.
Yes, and probably there's not too many people read newspapers anymore. I know my children and grandchildren, I don't ever see them when they visit. They never pick up a newspaper, even when I suggest it. So they're not interested because they got email and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there are a lot of people now, Briscoe, who don't even. I mean, the existence of a paper newspaper doesn't even cross their mind. It's like a foreign thing to them. They never experienced it.
That is correct, but I just thought I'd mention it to you. I don't know whether you're still a subscriber or not. I think I heard one time that you were not a subscriber, but
I'm not, because I didn't get it delivered on a regular basis back then. I got charged for all of them, but I didn't get all of them. But I'm getting the paper. I'm getting the paper again now, thanks to a generous man who reads his earlier in the morning, and then he gives it to me, and I appreciate that.
Well, that's good. Well, I'll let you go. Sorry to bother you. Good night.
Oh, thanks, Briscoe. You didn't bother me. Didn't bother us at all. That's why we have that telephone number for you to call, for everybody to call. What was I going to say? Say something about the paper, and it completely left my mind. Anyway, I do get to see the Greensboro News and Record now, and I'm happy about that. And I appreciate that. And you know, even though people can say, well, you can see the news somewhere else, and in some cases you can. In some cases, there's news in there that I haven't seen anywhere else. But I know for darn sure I don't see Blondie and Snuffy Smith and all of my favorite comics. I don't see them anywhere else. And so I can get back to those now that I'm actually getting a copy of the paper, and that's a good thing. And I'm getting a few editions of the Advisor, which I noticed an interesting thing here about the Advisor. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. Many of you will remember the Advisor, Rockingham County's monthly magazine. Right on the front page, it indicates that there are 17,000 subscribers to the Advisor, and this was in the 1950s up to 1960. 17,000 subscribers. Now, if you stop and think about it, at that time, 1950 to 1960, that was about 30, maybe 35% of the entire population of Rockingham County, which is to say that one person in every three in Rockingham County was reading, or at least seeing and getting the Advisor. So it was a big thing back in those days. It really was, and it's. And my wife told me, I told her the other day that we'd gotten a couple of copies of the Advisor. My wife told me her very first job was working for the Advisor. What did she say she was doing? Maybe something about address maintenance, address labels, or some such thing. But the Advisor was the first entity to help my wife put groceries on the table, because she wasn't my wife then. Obviously, once she married me, she was so much in the money at that point that she didn't have to worry about things like that anymore. But that was her very first job. Email. I heard an email, and the emailer says, "Hey Ken, did you ever meet Emerson Manuel, who was the father of the Advisor magazine? He was quite a character." I did meet Emerson Manuel several times. I met Emerson Manuel. First time I met him was when I was working my first ever job. The first time I ever did work that I got paid for. That is, work that didn't involve tobacco leaves that I got paid for. That was at WREV Radio. First job. And I'm in there one day, and Emerson Manuel walks in. I didn't know who he was, but he came in, and he walked up to me, and he said, "Son, do you want to fight?" I thought it was kind of a strange way to introduce yourself to somebody. But I said, "Well, no, I'm actually working now, and it probably wouldn't be good for my job security if I'm in here fighting when I'm supposed to be working." And he said, "Well, good, because I don't want to fight either." I don't have a big finish for that. That was just my first encounter with Emerson Manuel. And that is all the time we have for I almost said Trek, for Star Talk this week. We're on the air Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I hope you'll join us next time. Thanks for watching. I'm Ken Eccles.